Yeah, tonight's webinar is finding your ideal client, basically selling snow to a snowman. And I posed a question in, I know, on the Facebook event and some other places of sort of why that's a bad idea. And it's not necessarily that, you know, snow is near them. Um, you know, it may be something where, someone has a product that's nearby them and, if you provide it in a better packaging or a better service or sort of white glove, it may be attractive. So we're going to talk through that, talk through why an ideal client is important, why understanding that, why knowing that, and some sort of downfalls of if you don't know that and don't understand that. So before I get started in this, I want to talk about myself for just a brief moment. I am founder and CEO of a company called 95 Visual. We're a sort of web design and marketing firm. I often refer to Robert. I often refer to our company as a sort of a micro agency. We're a team of 5. We've got designers, developer, content strategist, sort of on our team. Um, Recently, I've been featured in some different tech sites, which has been pretty cool. For those of you who are in the Santa Cruz area, if you got the Sunday signal, I had on page 7 had a column in there, which is pretty great. So talking about some tech trends. Also, Robert Marshall, who's in the chat harassing me, is a client, and he actually had a nice little element in there as well, talking about some tech trends in your house. So if you haven't checked that out, and if you are local to the Santa Cruz area, check it out. But without further ado, cool. We're going to talk about what we're going to learn today. We're going to look at how to find your ideal client and why knowing who your ideal client is matters. So our agenda is, why does an ideal client matter? Why is knowing your ideal client important? Real world examples, finding your dream client, and then sort of building your ideal client avatar. And we're going to walk through that as well. So before I dive into this any further, I want to talk about why this really matters. And, this is right now, many business owners are unsure about the future of their business. I want to address, with coronavirus, COVID-19, there's a lot of businesses that are closing or sending people home. And it's just really, really hard, to know sort of where the status of the economy is and what that's going to look like. And so before I, apologize, I got to slide out of order here. Yeah, so real fast, house rules. We're mainly talking about businesses that are semi-established, or sort of you know who your customer is. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you're brand new in a business, that this won't work. And I'm going to promise you, this call isn't going to make you $1 million today. If you're expecting to get rich on the webinar, you can leave now type thing. This is to help you hone in, to help you improve your business over time. I encourage everybody to turn off notifications, turn off your phone. I know in the email I sent out, I was joking, like, find a quiet place. Like, obviously everybody's locked up at home, so that's a little hard, but as much as you can. And like I said, I'll be recording this, so you'll be able to play it back later. Spend a bunch of time on this, putting together, and it'll only help if you listen. I do actually have some of this information as a PDF as well that I'll be emailing out. And I've also added that as a resource on our website that I'll be giving you guys a link to at the end of this as well. And I'll make sure I send that out as an email. So getting back into talking about sort of where our economy is and why this matters. So this is a screenshot of Google Trends. So these are search trends on Google for 2 keywords, SBA loan and SBA emergency loan. That's small business loans. And so this is the trend over the past, literally from February 22nd. There's obviously a lot of uncertainty. Obviously a lot of people aren't sure where everything's going. So now is really the time to refine and focus on your business. Focus on what you do best. Take a step back, really think about who your ideal client is, your dream customer, define that and market to that specific person. So there's an awesome quote from The Art of War, and talks talks about like, if you know your enemy and know yourself, you need not fear result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not your enemy, every victory gained, you will suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. I sort of tweak this slightly. Um, if you know the client and know yourself, you need not fear 100 sales. If you know yourself but not the client, for every sale gained, you will suffer a defeat. And if you neither know yourself nor the client, obviously that's a train wreck. Um, so cool. So we're talking about that ideal customer, that client who you want to get out of bed early in the morning, that client that you would drive 30 miles, 2 hours in LA traffic. I know right now that 30 miles in LA traffic isn't a thing because anyway, there's nobody on the freeway, but just imagine a month ago. 2 hours in LA traffic, that client that you give all the toilet paper you have to, I guess, context. That's the client, that's the person we're focusing on today. Oops, come on. There we go. So why is knowing your ideal client so important? I want to talk through some examples and some stuff that we have seen with previous clients. And so the main elements here are so you don't waste marketing dollars, so you can better connect with them, so you don't waste your time talking to the wrong person. So looking at marketing dollars, we're going to look at a specific example of a client who is physically located in downtown LA. A few years ago, we had this company approach us. They were spending approximately $1,500 a month on Google Ads. Now, depending on your business, this may be more than your yearly marketing budget in total. This may also be less than you spent last week. However, for this client specifically, they spent $1,500 a month for 10 years. Now, upon taking over their account, we actually lowered their marketing budget monthly to about $350. So that's less than a quarter of their old budget. Now, even with our management fee, if they were spending less than half of what they were before. So this graph here is showing the red line is their spend, and that went from just above $1,500, and we dropped down. On an average month, some months were lower, some months were higher, but on average, we were spending about $350 a month. So the green line is the conversions. The lower the red line, the better. The higher the green line, the better. Now, you might be thinking, simply cutting back on ad spend can't do this, and you're exactly right. But defining who the client is, that's what helps fix this. So what was wrong with the old ads? I'll give you a hint. The blue area is where the Google Ads account was targeting. They were a physical brick and mortar in downtown LA. Anyone see a problem with this? We did. So that's what it looks like now. That little tiny blue dot near LA, I'll zoom in on it, that's where they're targeting today. This was a screenshot taken yesterday. So they didn't know who their ideal client was. They never set up geolocations, even though they're a brick and mortar. So you don't want to waste marketing dollars. And I want to really, really drive this home. They were spending $1,500 a month. Now they're spending $350 plus a management fee. Let's say our management fee equaled their spend, which it doesn't. It's actually less than that. So they were spending about, let's say, max $700 a month. That means they were wasting $800 a month for 10 years. Guys, that's $9,600 a year or $96,000. This can destroy a business or a person's life. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. We have a few of those sitting in our chat tonight. But let's say we took that 800 bucks a month and put it in a 1.5% investment account for 10 years. They could have saved 800 bucks a month towards retirement. Now, that 96,000 was simply just 800 times 10 times 12. If we actually put it in a 1.5% investment account, they'd have over $105,000 easily within 10 years. They could have paid off a mortgage, rented a private jet, bought two Tesla Model 3s. There's a ton of stuff you could have done with $100,000. So again, I want to look at this. Now, this was not just one marketing channel. They were doing the same thing across two others. So previously, they were getting on average of about 2 to 3 conversions per month. They're getting about 150 a month now. And this just shows, you know, how powerful it is to just understand who your client is. They're just the conversion rate jumped over 7 times with a quarter of the budget. I really hope my message is clear. I don't know your ideal client, or if you don't know your ideal client, apologize, people are hopping in still. So if you don't know your ideal client, then you don't have one. And you're sadly wasting your money and your marketing to everyone. So the next example was actually with a company. I'm not going to use their actual industry, but let's just say they built custom pools. So a few years ago, this company reached out to us about doing a site, doing marketing. After an initial call, everything sounded great. We talked about minimum engagement cost and what that looked like. We set up an in-person meeting, and I met with the owner. I went over everything about our process, and we talked through, just how our company works. As we talked, I simply asked him who his ideal client was. The owner of the business said, anyone who lives in the area. I quickly stopped in my tracks. This is a custom pool company. This is not something that's a $5 purchase. I asked him, anyone? He responded, yeah. I was like, so the guy who rents a room from a friend? He's like, I guess not. So I continued on this questioning. I was like, a family who's paycheck to paycheck? He's like, no. I was like, at this point, I hoped he got it. So who's your ideal client? I asked. Without hesitation, anyone who lives in the area. It's so sad to me to see this. And this went around and round for a few minutes until I finally stopped and I explained to him through this process, like who his ideal client is. And I really had to help this, business owner shift his mindset. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but you can't really build a pool in an apartment unless apparently you're in New York. That's actually a pool in a flat in New York City. But this guy had been in business for over 20 years and was just now realizing who his ideal client was. So we're going to talk about another business here in just a second. So this is so you can better connect with them. So we're moving off the budget side. We're talking about just better connecting with your client. The better you know your client, the better you can connect with them. Think about your spouse or a good friend. I bet you could order for them at a restaurant that the two of you frequent. This is how your client wants to feel. The more you know about them, the more you can anticipate their needs, the more you can connect. They will really feel, committed to your business. They'll feel that connection, that personalization, and they'll really value that. So let's say we have an email going out that, we're sending out to a new company. So for this email, it's a small business owner, an inventor named Wiley. He started his business back in 1950s, and the company name is Acme Corp. Yes, this is Wiley Coyote. And yes, we're writing a corporate email for Wiley. Well, Wiley is not busy chasing his arch nemesis, Roadrunner. Wiley runs his business. So here are two different welcome emails that Wiley Coyote could send out to a new client. Now, keep in mind, he's got a signed contract and a check in hand. So this is not a new prospect. This is the first email. New client. Here at Acme Corp, we pride ourselves in safety and ensure the safety that safety is our top priority when we manufacture each product. Acme Corp. This isn't personalized. Second email. Hey Douglas, thanks for deciding to work with Acme Corp. This email gives an intro that's personalized to them. It gives what the process of this project looks like. It gives a defined, big, giant, bold, here is your next step element, and an easy signature. It gives phone number and contact information. It's clear. These are the types of emails that for your business, if you're engaging with a new customer, that you want to be sending. And again, we're looking at time as well. This is something so you don't waste time. This is critical because for a small business owner, you don't have tons of extra time to sift through all the noise of prospects. For you, this may mean having a client questionnaire that they fill out or sending a pre-filmed video that gives them more information about your business. And I've done both. However, what I'm getting at here is that if you get, let's say, 10 leads and convert one of them, then you're wasting 90% of your follow-up time. But if you get 4 leads and convert 2 of them, you're only wasting 50%. The better you know your client, the better your content on your website's written, the better your processes and procedures are set up, the easier it will be to convert those clients and the less time you're going to be wasting. Okay, so I've given a bunch of ways not to run your business. We've talked about Wile E. Coyote, the custom pool company, and a bunch of other ones. Obviously, we know a few different ways to turn away clients and even maybe, you know, attract prospects that might not be the best. But you want to turn away the wrong client. You want to filter out the bad prospects. So now it's time to get to the actual content and really defining who your dream client or dream customer is. So, finding your dream client. We're going to talk about what's called an ICA or an ideal client avatar. We're going to go through a bunch of questions. And if you don't have a pen or paper, now is the time to make sure you have that in front of you. You can also use the chat if needed. Grab a notepad, grab notepad on your physical computer, however you take notes. Make sure you have something that you can take notes with. Um, you really have to take a step back from your business when you're going through this process and look at who you want to work with. As strange as it may sound, this process is as much about you as it is about your business. With the right ideal client, you'll enjoy work more. You'll be less stressed and make more money. When working at your business, you can't take any of this personal. You want your business to work for you. And if it's not doing that, then something's wrong. It does not matter how much money you spend on branding, web design, and marketing. None of that will get you any traction unless you target those clients who want what you offer. So before I go any further, let's look at what you're good at and what you love to work with. This will help us really get an idea of who your ideal client is and what your target market is. Then we'll take the chance to pick your ideal client, real or imaginary, and answer a bunch of questions, the ideal client avatar questions that'll really help get inside of their head. I will preface that this literally feels like you're filling out an online dating profile. If you've never done this before, it does feel weird. um, you're going to go get inside their head and figure out what inspires them, what's their problems, their fears, their objectives, their wildest dreams, and a bunch of that information. Cool. I think I hit this. Yeah. Ideal client avatar is basically a detailed description of who your target cluster client is. Yep, like I said, looks like an online dating profile. I apologize. For some reason, I have a preview window that I can see the next slide, but it's blank on all of these. I think it's because they are transitioning. Cool. So we're gonna look at what you offer. Um, you cannot be everything to everybody, and you can't sell everything to everyone. And so when we were talking about selling snow to a snowman, it's not necessarily because snow is all around. That snowman may be the ideal client for you. You just pick up the snow that's on the ground, you package it in the right packaging. But if that's not your business model, then that's the wrong client. If that's not your key product, then that's the wrong client. So let's see. Cool. So hope everybody, like I said, hope everybody has that piece of paper. Feel free to do this on a piece of paper, or if you're brave enough, love for everybody to do this in chat as well. Be great to see some of that. So, what are your strengths as a business? So, for us, for me personally, our strengths as a business is web design. We're good at it. We definitely have some other weak spots, but web design is one of our big ones. Come on, I'm asking small business owners to talk about their strengths and what they're really good at. There should be like 40 million people in chat. For those of you who haven't used Zoom, at the very bottom of the screen in the center, as you mouse over it, there should be a little chat bubble. You can click on that and it'll pop up the chat window and you can type something in. Go ahead, and I'd prefer that everybody just sends it to everybody. That's best. So that way everybody can see these answers as we're all sort of working on it. If you're super shy about it, understand, you can send them to me personally. There's a little two with a little drop down. It says everyone currently. You can send it to the presenter, to me. I think it actually has my name. Cool. Helping people break through obstacles and as and barriers, healing art, making people feel comfortable, helping people find what they're looking for. Uh, hey, Miles. I didn't notice you hopped in. And my chat is frozen. Awesome. Hold on. Let me read. There we go. Island design, paintball. Saw a few other ones in here. Superior products, great customer service, caring and compassion. Yep, yep. Yeah, these are all good strengths. Yeah, and I will say the better you understand your strengths, the better you guys understand your weaknesses. It really helps, to define this. I'll throw this in there. So for us, we're a web design company. One of the biggest things that we were running into a few years ago was content. We had clients we'd build a site for, and we'd say, "Hey, give us your content." We had a huge weakness. We did not have a content creation person in house. We now have that. I hired to a weakness. It's great to have people on our team that can do that. Oh, hey David, I didn't see you pop in. I'm literally just hitting accept everybody who's popping in. I haven't been reading names. Cool, awesome. Now the fun one. What work do you guys like to do? What's stuff that you guys, if you've got one project on your mind, what is that one thing you really like to do? Don't worry, we're gonna talk. Watch Netflix. Nice. I guess right now, if you're working from home and that's yeah. I know our whole team is working remote, which is just a little different. To clarify, David's a photographer shooting food. Could also sound like you're a hunter. Awesome. These are super good. Okay. And the one that's always fun. What do you not like to do? For me, it's I always hate the dreaded you have a past due invoice. I hate that technology. Sending cold messages. Yep. Yep. Paperwork. Billing. Yep. Estimating, figuring out funnel, right funnel process. So it looks like we need an accountant. If anybody's an accountant in this chat, in the marketing side, we need to have a chat. But I'm not gonna talk about that. Yeah, definitely. It seems like a lot of people don't like to do is paperwork related, and I will say there are some people who thoroughly enjoy that, which is great. Uh, Obviously, this one's a little more personal, but grab your pen and paper, note this down. What work is most profitable for you? For us, there are some services that we have as third party stuff that we sell that's more profitable than if it's custom work. Um, I know for especially some agencies, there's some dashboards and panels and some of that type of stuff that can be sold. Um, that's definitely a little bit more profitable. Yeah, long term stay in Airbnb. Yep, group classes. Absolutely, I could see our group classes would be a lot more. I think we have a little bit of lag here. We're getting some people hopping in answering old questions, which is fine, which is good. But cool, awesome. So that gives me a little bit of an idea, sort of where your guys' heads are at. Gives me a little bit of an idea of sort of all of this. Obviously, we're already sort of into the workshop element here, but we're going to really dive in and start talking through your target market. Now, the next few slides of information I've actually put together in a PDF and I will be sending out after this call. However, I would still like for you guys to try to workshop this using a notepad as to much of your guys' ability currently. Um, so what we're going to start with is um, working out who your target market is. So who do you love to work with? We've already established a little bit of that. What types of things you guys like to do? What's most profitable to you? So now what we're going to do, obviously, this may again be sort of a more on your notepad. Write down sort of your top 5 clients, the top 5 clients that, like I was saying earlier, that you would drive 2 hours in traffic. You would cancel maybe another meeting, other plans, you'd work late for. Those are the 5 clients we're talking about. Those 5 clients that you guys think about that you're like, yeah, I'd go out of my way on a Saturday afternoon to help them. Or maybe some one of those clients who you're like, yeah, I'd give them, 20% off or something. Now we're looking at, you know, I know I may be going a little fast for some, and I may be, slow paced for for others, but um, look at those five clients. What do they have in common? Do they have a similar demographic, similar income, gender, marital status, industry, location, similar beliefs or values, hobbies, lifestyle, interest? For some of you guys, your product may be a higher price point. And so maybe it's the income is over 150, $200,000. Maybe, it's a product or a service that's primarily female or, mostly, singles or married people. There's a lot of people in chat who are in the greater Southern California area. And so maybe it's someone who is in just the LA area. You don't service people who are in Texas or New York or Florida. Not saying that you wouldn't fly there if someone paid you to, but you know, that maybe your ideal client is located, geographically here. So taking those demographics, make a little bit of a list with that. What is that gender? What is that location? What does that type of stuff look like? And who is that? Cool. Um, Again, as I mentioned earlier, like if you're new to this type of thing, like I said, it may feel a little weird filling out these details about a client, someone you've never met or that doesn't exist, or an existing client or whatever that might be. But you'll get into the swing of it. Once you get started, you may even get a kick out of it. Might be fun. Um, I know I actually had a few emails with people emailing me sort of their rough ideal client, or sort of maybe outlining two or three bullet points of who they like working with. Got a few of those today, which was pretty great. It's awesome to see that some people have sort of a good mindset for this already. So, if you give it a go, then you'll definitely find yourself inside their head, understanding their motivations, their fears, and really understanding who your client is. Um, like I said, I will email that PDF that I've been alluding to out after tonight's call. If you don't get it, make sure you check your spam folder. I'll also give you a URL that you can download it from, and I'll put that in chat at the end. Um, the one thing I would say is if you've got a client, one or two, that's sort of your ideal client that you do work with on a regular basis, and you have a good relationship with them, I would even print this out and ask them to fill it out. It might actually you know, um, open your eyes up a little bit to some stuff that you didn't even know. Um, cool. So I've got a list of a bunch of questions we're going to go through. We're actually going to basically, with that piece of paper, we're going to continue to write down all these answers. Don't necessarily need to throw it in chat. And we're going to go through all that. So we're going to go one question at a time. Um, and walk through these questions. I'll have about 30 seconds between each one on some of the shorter ones to read each question and for you guys to write down an answer. At the end, I'm going to definitely review a few people's, and we'll sort of talk through your ideal client and maybe even a marketing idea and really help define that message. So um, pick a ideal client, real or imaginary. And here's the four areas we're going to hit. We're going to hit personal, information, problems, and wildest dreams. Cool. What's their name? Write down their name. This can be a real person. You can make it up. Either way. What's their age? What's that rough age? It doesn't necessarily have to be an exact, but get a narrow window. You don't want 12 to 65. You should. Now, the one thing I will note is you can have multiple ideal clients. For us, we actually do have multiple. We work with small businesses, but we also work with universities. Those are two entirely different clients, and we talk to them in two different ways. So pick one. pick one of those clients and hone in on that age. Gender, don't put both. Don't put both. It's the primary one. If it's exact 50-50 split, if you literally wrote down a list of all your clients and it's exact 50-50, I'd still argue on this, but don't put both. Who is the most prominent person to call you? Who's the most prominent person to cut the check? Of the ideal clients you like working with. What's their marital status? And again, this is what's the majority. If 90% of your clients are married, that's what your ideal is. Do they have children, and what is the children's age? Now, for some of you, like April from Paintball USA, obviously most of the clients, it's the children who are going to play. Um, Level of education. Have they graduated high school, college? Do they have a master's? And again, we're talking majority here. What's their goals? This one is definitely sort of a bullet point list. And this can be personal goals, this can be business goals, this can be goals and related to your service. For us, one of our clients, ideal clients' goals is to improve their online presence. What's their values? And also life beliefs. Location. Where are they located? If you are physically servicing them in Santa Clarita and you have a brick and mortar, then obviously it's probably your location plus 10 miles, 20 miles, whatever that looks like. If you can do this service for us, we've got clients all over the US. So we typically deal with clients, I would say about 90% of our clients are Southern California, and that's sort of where our ideal client is. But we do have clients all over the US. What's their occupation? For some of you, the occupation is going to be a lot more obvious. For instance, for me, it's a business owner or it is a operations manager or marketing lead. For some of you, their occupation may be all over the place. But is there one defined one that sort of typically, draws a lot of that together? From there, what's their job title? Are they a business owner? Are they a manager? Annual income. Some of you may know this a little bit better than others, but take a guess. Like what do you think their annual income is? We're also getting at some things like we talked about with the pool company. Um, he can't be marketing to people who are paycheck to paycheck. If someone's building a custom pool, guys, you're not spending 5-10 bucks on that. That's a lot of money for a custom pool. So this is definitely something that you need to know. If your product is 5,000, 10,000 bucks, and someone's paycheck to paycheck, they're not hiring you. If it's a business owner, what's their years in business? We do a lot of business to business type work. And so a lot of our clients have clients who are businesses. So that's where this question comes from. So this may not be 100% relevant to you, which is fine. If they are a business owner, what's that business revenue look like? And again, if they're a business, how many employees do they have? And some of these questions you may be looking at going, there's half of these that, really dive into, one half of my business, half of them that apply to the other half of the business. Awesome. Do two ideal client avatars. Cool. So now we're going to get into a little bit more of the inspiration aspect, information. Um, what books do they read? And maybe this isn't the exact title. Maybe this is a genre of books or book topics. For me, it might be, our clients may be interested in business management, or maybe it's the Steve Jobs book. So do they read, business books? Do they read, um, novels? Do they read, what type of books do they read? And there's a reason why we're going through all this. You're thinking types of books, all this type of stuff, like, favorite magazines, movies, TV shows. Like, what does this have to do with knowing who my client is? I will also note we're at about 750, 752 to be exact. I was not expecting to be this far along, which is awesome. Um, so we will definitely have plenty of time to talk through questions, which is awesome. What do they Google? This is definitely something that's a giant open-ended question, but this would be specific to your business. How are people looking for you? What would they Google search? That honestly may just be a giant page of paper just in itself. You could probably write down 100 ideas, but just what's the one or two main points that ideal client's gonna Google search to find you? What other blogs or websites might they frequent? Again, for my business, they're probably, business owners. So they're probably looking at, maybe it's accounting software, maybe it's time tracking software, maybe it's something like that where, um, for a photographer, maybe it's, maybe they're looking at other photographer websites or other image sites, for Airbnb, it's travel. You're trying to get an idea of what type of sites do they frequent with inside of that. What about apps? What type of for your client, what is their favorite type of apps that they use as well? What type of social media channels? I will say our company is on Facebook, uh, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If I post something on Facebook and I post the same thing or same topic ish on Twitter, we will get plenty more engagement on Facebook. Just specifically, that's where our clients are. That's the social media channel that they use, which a chunk of those who are on the call tonight found the event through Facebook. What conferences or events do they go to? Are there specific conferences, events? This could even be, you could even widen that a little bit to maybe it's sports teams. What type of sports teams do they go and watch? Maybe events could even be like the farmers market or a concert or any of that type of stuff. Cool. What do they do on Sunday mornings? Do they go to church? Do they hang out with their family at home? Like, what does their weekend look like? What is their guilty pleasure? What influencers do they have, or do they have any? Who influences? Is there, if it's something where it's a purchase decision, is there a some sort of influencer that your client follows that they sort of look to tell them sort of trends in the market and any of that type of stuff? What is their dream holiday destination? And again, I'm going to preface we're going crazy on some of this stuff. Obviously, there's some of this that you're like, I have no idea what my client's dream holiday destination is. Cool. Try to think if I was in their shoes, what would I want to do? Obviously, right now, our dream holiday destination is anywhere that we can be that's not inside our own house. all of your dream clients to holiday destinations is your Airbnb. Nice. Nice. What brands are they loyal to? If you know your client is super loyal to a specific brand or likes a specific thing a certain way, that's definitely something that you can utilize from just understanding them, from a marketing perspective, a lot of that. Cool. If I'm going too fast for anybody, just post in chat. I'm going too fast. Am I going too slow? Let me know what that looks like. It's always super hard to gauge with slides like this, especially when I'm doing a lot of questions. I'm asking you guys to write down stuff. Problems, fears, and objections. What worries or keeps them up at night? For the financial advisors in the group, your clients, their worries may be that they don't have enough money to retire. Right now, I think everybody's worry is, are we going to have enough money to last through the end of the year? Um, and so I think, it's really talking about, what is the worry that keeps them up at night with your specific service? What triggers fear for your ideal client? Again, for financial advisors, it's fear of loss of money. For a photographer, it may be fear of the photo's not looking good, or maybe even it's the fear of getting new headshots. I had headshots done 10 years ago and I looked great. Now I'm going to get new headshots and, you know, I don't look as good, or, it's just that fear. What challenges do they face on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis? Yeah, Robert, thanks. Thanks. I did new headshots actually, and I had a lot of feedback on taking my glasses off. I do need to get more. Okay. Yeah. So, what challenges do they face on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis? What are their pain points? What are things that they're struggling with? I know something we hear all the time is, I hate dealing with my web developer, or I hate dealing with my website, or we had a client we were working with the other day. They're like, I have like 2 GoDaddy accounts, I have a Bluehost account, and I have another other account for email, and I have no idea what I'm paying on any of them, and or what anything is doing. And it turns out that they were paying for hosting on 3 different accounts, and 2 of them weren't being used. What do they fear might fail in their life if their situation continues to get worse? So, this is obviously, some of these questions start to get a little dark. This one is, if they didn't hire, for instance, my business, and let's say the client ends up just turning off their website, turning off marketing, now they are getting less sales. Their business, if they're getting less sales, less income means laying off staff. Laying off staff means they can't do as much in their business. They can't do as much in their business. Are they going to have a business? If they close their business, what happens if they close their business? Can they keep their house? If they lose their house, where's their family going to live? Just how that downward spiral evolves, that's what we're talking about here. Like, what do they fear might fail in their life if their situation continues to get worse? So in my example that I just used, they might lose their house and not have anywhere to live if they don't redo their website. Obviously, those are massively wide correlations, but the example that I'm getting here is that sometimes where people's heads go, they start thinking about, the end of, of this long domino effect. So, and with the last question on a lighter note, what do they really want to have now? Or sorry, what do they really want that they don't have now? There we go. Yeah, so what do they really want that they don't have now? And maybe that's, again, I'm using my business a bunch as an example, but like maybe that's more clients, more customers, more sales, more website traffic. What's stopping them from getting what they want? And the answer to that is not necessarily, I know, what's stopping them from getting what they want. It's not necessarily that they haven't hired you. There may be a roadblock before that. It may be finding you. It may be having the money to hire you. It may be, there could be a roadblock before that. And that's really what we're trying to uncover. If you put down that they haven't hired you yet, well, why haven't they hired you? What is the reasoning behind that? And that's really where we're trying to get. If it's that your initial cost is too high, well, could you do a payment plan? What would that look like? Could you help someone plan better, to hire your business? What have they tried that didn't work for them? And I don't want to harp on this, but I know we have clients who oftentimes will come to us and they're like, I tried Wix or I tried Squarespace and I can't figure it out. I'm done. Like, just I need a website done. Like, just help. Um, and Wix and Squarespace are both great platforms. But if you're a small business owner and you don't want to spend 20 hours, 30 hours plus trying to figure it all out, obviously that's, you know, probably not the platform to try then. So what have they tried that didn't work out, work for them? What objections might they have about investing in your product or service? Maybe it's price point. Maybe it's time. It's going to take X amount of time to, do that. Robert Marshall, who's in the chat, he owns a company. They do audio, video, home theaters, and security systems. And I want a home theater tomorrow, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. Those are the types of things that takes time and planning. And he may have 2 jobs ahead of me, type thing. And it's objections that someone's going to face. Cool. We've hit 3 of 4 sections. We are in the end zone here almost. What is their wildest dreams? So this is where we're going to get crazy. If they hire you and their business makes a ton of money, or they're super happy, or all of their dreams come true, what do they secretly wish for? What do they really want? Yeah, so what do they secretly wish for? What do they really, really want? And then the next one, what is their like OMG dream solution that they'd pay almost anything for? What is that one thing that literally someone would just write a check for literally an unlimited amount of money that they would pay for if you could solve that problem? What specific benefits would their dream solution bring? How would that make them feel? Talking about that pain point earlier, what's sort of the Advil to their pain point? What will their friends and family think of them if their situation is fixed in an ideal way? So maybe it's someone who, I used Robert Marshall's company here a second ago. Like, hey, all of a sudden someone has a new home theater. Like that may be the hot spot to hang out now. Everyone wants to hang out. Everyone wants to be at their house. They're sort of a status element a little bit. If you've got your own little home theater, that's a pretty cool thing. What will they be able to do or achieve if their fantasy situation becomes a reality? And that is the last question. I am shocked. We got through all of that in an hour, which means we have a solid like 50 minutes ish to go through and talk through your guys' ideal clients and really brainstorm sort of how all this connects. So, one of the things I want to talk through before we hop into that is why this stuff matters. So, obviously, there's a ton of questions we went through here. So, some of this stuff from a marketing perspective, if you know your ideal client's pain point, you guys have probably seen ads on TV or newspapers or on the web or YouTube or Hulu or Netflix that everybody's probably been binging on the past, few weeks. Um, you've seen those ads that say, are you sick and tired of X? Get this product and have this solution. That's exactly what you just did. You literally walk through the process of like, hey, this is the problem that they're facing. This is the solution I have. And this is the end result that they're going to get from that. And that is literally the sort of element that you can use as a marketing tool going forward. And so the other thing, and the reason why we talked about age and demographic, is those are great elements to plug into like Facebook ads or Google ads. You can say, hey, I have, someone who lives in this area, they're this age, they're interested in these things. This is the type of, books they like and the movies that they like. And you start plugging in all those elements, and you can actually build a persona basically to go after on Facebook marketing. It's a really great setup, and it makes marketing really 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 nice. This is some of the stuff that we do internal. These are some of the questions that we go through with clients when we're building out their marketing. So with that, a lot of this stuff, you can actually take this and like I said, I will email out that PDF after this call. I'm realizing the formatting when I exported it got messed up. I will re-export this and then send it to you guys. Um, it is basically exactly the questions we just went through. But basically, you can put this in sort of type it up in a Word doc. And like I said, fill this out for each one of your different client types. And go through this and really use that as sort of a guide of how you look at those clients. So with that, what I'm going to do is for those of you who are want to sort of walk through that, obviously we don't have to share all of the elements of yours, as much as you're willing to share would be awesome. That definitely helps not only you grow in your business, but it'll also help others who are on the call grow in theirs. So what I'm going to ask is for those of you who would like to sort of walk through that with me, go ahead and pop your name in chat, and I will start going through.